What's up, guys? This is LS Illuminate coming to you with another Marvel movie Endgame theory. I gotta say theory about the Reality Stone and some Marvel, some artwork that came along a couple weeks ago. And I had this idea in my mind, but I didn't put it to video up until today. And so this is one of those pictures that you see below me, and you got Captain America with the shield, you got Iron Man with the face of his head, and you got whatever that thing is for Romanoff, and you got the hammer for Thor, you got the Hulk smash hands for Hulk, and you got the Ronin character with whatever that is. Looks like, I don't know, parallelograms put together. Anyway, all this has like a feel to it. Like, it almost feels like when I look at this artwork that is drawing from Thor Ragnarok, the way that how the movie was geared towards 80s type artwork. And I say that because in Thor Ragnarok, you saw it very clearly. Even the title looked like a video game. Like an 80s video game, Nintendo 80s video game, 32-bit, 32-bit video game, and it gives you that feel that they're going back into time, and perhaps they're using artwork or the idea of feeling for artwork. You ever seen pictures or photographs that draws you in and takes you back to those days? Like, like a filter on a camera that has sepia. If you know what that is, sepia makes everything looks almost yellowish, brownish, and it makes it look old. It makes a photograph look old. So, being that this artwork here was brought out for Avengers Endgame, and it's all the characters, not all the characters, but 6 of the characters that deal with, with those that has not been decimated. But these 6 characters will be in some other, it's drawing us back into another place. And I think that is drawing us back into another reality. Whereas we have Captain America going back to Captain America of a couple of years ago, Iron Man going back, Romanoff going back, Thor going back, Hulk going back, Ronin going back. And it's just the artwork that gives me the feel that it's going back into time. And so we have seen a lot of leaks and a lot of talk of the Avengers going back into time. But I don't think, and the Russos, not that I believe Russos for anything, and the Russos say that they're not employing time travel, which is a hard pill to swallow. But if that's true, then this is going to be the way that they're going to do it. And so we're going to go forward in these pictures. This is some of the pictures that we were given as far as the new artwork for Avengers Endgame characters. You saw Thor, you saw Iron Man, Cap, Ronin, you got Black Widow, even Captain Marvel, Ant-Man, Nebula, Hulk. And so these things have one thing in common. As you can see, the one thing that they have in common is the color red. Now, what do we know about the color red? Well, the color red is the actual color of the Reality Stone. And so I'm thinking this has some kind of callback to the Reality Stone. Again, the pictures are taking us back. We also have old Avengers Infinity War concept, or maybe not concept pictures, but pictures that came up on, I think these came up on movie theater cups. And you have Iron Man, Doctor Strange, you have Wong, you have Spider-Man, these 4 characters engulfed in red. So as you can see, let's see, all red. Now, what's amazing about this picture is that all of the people here, maybe not Spider-Man, maybe not all Peter Parker, but he's just inside this picture. Maybe all of this has something to do with the Reality Stone and their use of the Reality Stone. Now, how can they have the Reality Stone? Well, Doctor Strange and Iron Man are the ones that are on Titan, and Doctor Strange tells Iron Man this was the only way. And I'm going to call back to another theory that somebody else had about the Time Stone, how they go back into time, swap the Time Stone in a fixed location in the past, so that when the Time Stone is used, that it becomes it's like a what you call it, a facsimile, or a copy, or a 3D printed, I'm gonna say it like this, just from, this is the only way I understand it. It's gonna be a copy of the Time Stone being used, but what they're gonna do is they're gonna use the Time Stone to go back in time and steal a couple of stones from Thanos from under his nose without him realizing it. And Doctor Strange is pretty much savvy to this trick. So I think Doctor Strange has a lot to do with that idea, but one of the stones is going to be the Reality Stone. And so we have the Reality Stone. And even this picture here that came up with the Ant-Man is all blessed with red here. And this is the same picture that I showed earlier, which is a lot better resolution. Doctor Strange, of course. And one thing that ties in Tony Stark is that Tony Stark is the creator of barf technology. What is that? Binary augmented retro framing, so that you can go into somebody's thoughts and minds and take them back into a thought in their mind and make it visually attainable reality for themselves, which is not real, but it's just visually attained. And so that's what we have. And so all of these things have all one thing in common, the color red, and draws us back to the Reality Stone, or as in Dark World, the ether. The ether is able to create false images, or create a different reality, and make things appear that is not right. And so why is this important? And so we have a picture of the binary, what was that thing called again? Binary retro frame, binary augmented retro framing. And so this is actually a picture that was leaked with characters in it. Captain America, you see Iron Man, you see, I think there's Mark Ruffalo in his mocap suit for Hulk, and then you have Ant-Man. All these people have been shown to be blessed with red over here. Hulk, Ant-Man, Cap, and Tony, Iron Man. So what's the point? What am I really saying about this? What is the theory? What's going on? I think that instead of going back into time, I think Doctor Strange was able to take himself. Remember, he's able to teleport his soul from one dimension to another. Why is this man incapable of doing the very same thing, going back into a time and influencing somebody's mind, or giving a message in the past, perhaps even Tony himself, perhaps Howard Stark, and perhaps Howard Stark is the reason why, if you remember the scene, I think it was in Iron Man 3, how Tony sees the the arc reactor and changes the arc reactor and creates his own element, so that he can now power himself and and create a new arc reactor. In creating a new arc reactor, or creating a new element to power the arc reactor, which does not cause him to be affected negatively due to it, he created such a powerful thing that he might be able to create something. I'm talking about Tony, to actually harness the power of the reality stone, and also use barf technology in conjunction with the reality stone, so that manipulating the reality stone may be easy for a mere mortal to do, only because he has the adapter. And I call it an adapter. Barf technology is just an adapter for Tony Stark to use in holding the reality stone and being able to manipulate the reality stone. This is why Howard Stark says, "You have the key, Tony." When he gave him the video, like when Tony was looking through the archives of the videos, he saw that in the archives his father was sending him a message that you have the key, like it's here, and you're the only one that I can pass this down to. You're the one who is genius enough, because I know that you have the ability. Well, how does Howard Stark know what little Tony Stark's abilities are, and he's just a child, playing behind the life model of his little arc reactor city? How does Howard Stark know this? I believe that Doctor Strange may have gone back mentally to speak to Howard Stark concerning Tony Stark, and how that he has the key to being able to do what he can do regarding the reality stone and his barf technology. And so this is and the only way that that's possible is by Doctor Strange using his abilities with the time stone to go back and give this message to someone, Howard Stark, and then plant a seed. It's like Inception. If you're strong enough to go into somebody's mind and plant a seed, and then come out of it, it will come back to you in the long run as a fully manifest idea. And this idea would have come to pass because Howard Stark has received a message in his inception, and now is carrying it forward to Tony Stark through that video. And this is what Tony Stark, he has his mind, automatically, geared towards doing certain things. And not only that, Tony Stark then proceeds to pull up classified SHIELD missions and programs, like I think it was, what was it called? Operation Goliath, Operation, I forget the other one. I know he says something about Operation this thing and that and the other. And so now Tony, who has all these secrets in SHIELD, because he did hack into SHIELD right in front of their face and got a lot of information, was able to later, draw from those things. And now Tony, putting all pieces together, being able to do this thing, is now about to do something. But Tony is detrimental to the plot in Endgame. This is why Doctor Strange cut Thanos short from killing Tony right in front of his face. He says, "Stop! I'll give you the time stone. Just spare his life." Now, up until this point, they in Infinity War, they were really, really thinking, look, I got to protect it. And this is what Wong and Doctor Strange was all about from the beginning of the movie. We have to protect at all costs, the time stone. What they call it, the Eye of Agamotto. And so this whole mission statement for them as part of the New York Sanctum Sanctorum, you know, became something of a past, you know, something, you know, not so important as we come to the end of Infinity War, where he says, okay, spare Tony's life, I'll give you the time stone. And then he later on before he gets decimated, he says, Tony, I had to do this. This is the only way. And so Tony sees Doctor Strange be decimated in front of his face, and he's left alone with Nebula. Now Nebula's here, but let's go back to that picture. And so again, I think the Reality Stone is going to be utilized in Infinity War. It's going to be more important than you think. And not that the Time Stone is not important. Time Stone actually is the means to the end that gets the Reality Stone and is able to trick Thanos into thinking that he has won the day. And so being that they took the Reality Stone, you know, because they did some tricks, some parlor trick with the Time Stone, they were able to get the Reality Stone, possibly any other stone, maybe perhaps even the Power Stone. We don't know what else they would have gotten. Look, I'm going through all my pictures here. Okay. But the main stone that I'm thinking about right here, and is the purpose of this video, is the Reality Stone. And so being that the Reality Stone tricks people into thinking whatever they want to think, we saw this happen in Infinity War when Gamora thought that she killed Thanos. It was so convincing. Thanos even conjured up a picture of the Collector as she thrusted that sword or that dagger into Thanos' heart, killing him and hearing him thump. And she was like, wow. And then not only that, even Star-Lord was convinced. He was like, man, that was easy. He was like, you know, the Staples commercial. That was easy. And so it seemed to them, the Guardians, at that point, that they had won the day, but they didn't win the day. It was Thanos using the Reality Stone, making them think that he died, when in actuality, Thanos is off to the side, and he conjured up this picture of, you know, himself getting killed. Now, who else can do such a thing? We see without the power of the Reality Stone, we know that Loki can do that. Loki also may be in on this, and we see this also in leaked footage. As far as Loki's you know, his character is involved in the movie and going forward, that Loki also says, "Oh, don't worry, brother, our light will shine another day," something like to that idea. Pretty much giving Thor a hope in what he was saying, and then it still lingers in my mind when I think about that Loki is not dead. Loki is doing Loki, and has properly done, you know, tricked Thanos into thinking he has won the day. Also pulling up a stone out his buttocks, because remember, both Loki and Doctor Strange, the way that they hand the stone over to Thanos is similar. In the beginning of the movie, this is the first thing that happened. Loki, you know, pretty much creates the cube out of thin air and proceeds to give it to the Tesseract to Thanos. And Thanos breaks the Tesseract, takes the stone and puts it on his gauntlet. Same thing goes with Doctor Strange at the end, or the last part of the movie. You notice there's like sort of a theme there. The first and the last. The beginning and the end. And so with these stones, with the idea of these stones, the Space Stone, which is the Tesseract, and the Time Stone, which is the Time Stone, I believe that these two stones are probably not real, but are copies of the real, but still equal in power, but will probably self-destruct in its use, which also describes the gauntlet when Thanos actually used it to make the snap and make this decimation happen. However, I don't think the decimation is pretty much real. I think it's real in Thanos' mind. So the reality stone is working against Thanos, just like Thanos used the reality stone against the Guardians in his procurement of getting Gamora, which to him was the means to an end, which is the Soul Stone, which a lot of people were wondering, where is this Soul Stone? She knew where it was. She knew that it would be in I forget what the place is called now. So anyway, that's my theory. Tell me what you guys think. I think I might have my finger on the pulse on this one, being that this artwork came out with all this color red, and I don't believe in coincidence. And going with Russo again, going back to what the Russo says, this movie may not be about time travel, but I do believe that it's about two realities or two ends of time coming together, enveloping together to meet at one point in order to message one point of time to another. This is just like if anybody knows anything about Star Trek, season 7, the last 2 episodes, I forget what it was called, but it's the same idea that the Picard of the old, when they first started, and Tasha Yar was in there. Now I know anybody who does not know about Star Trek doesn't know anything what I'm talking about, but in that episode, the main character, Captain Jean-Luc Picard, at this point is the last episode. It's kind of like what TV shows do to honor all of their episodes beforehand. They try to, embrace all of it and put it all together, and what they did was they took the Jean-Luc Picard of the beginning of Star Trek Next Generation, contacting the Jean-Luc Picard, an old man Jean-Luc Picard in the future. And this future Jean-Luc Picard is having what you would call like daydreams or visions. And in his daydreams or visions, he's being messaged by an old Jean-Luc Picard. And this is all because the reality of these 2 points in time had converged. Now we also see this idea with Dr. Selvig on his blackboard. He wrote the word convergence. He also wrote fault. He wrote things about different multiverses and stuff like that. 616. All these ideas, and all of this happened because something in time has broke. Something was enveloped where one point of time over here, if you can see my finger, one point over here meets with this point over here and touches. And that touch is what this movie Endgame is going to be all about. It's going to be about contacting via the realities, via the Soul Stone and Space Stone, but getting a hold to the reality stone and tricking Thanos into thinking he was, he did his mission accomplish. Now, being that is what I think is going to happen, that mission accomplished, Thanos thinks he won the day. He's in his own reality. He's like a person who is stuck in his own mind right now, and he thinks he won, and he's on his own reality, and he's probably being, he's probably stuck somewhere in his own reality, thinking that he's free and thinking that he has done the world a favor. And so we will probably not see Thanos to a degree where we saw him in the first, the Infinity War. And so now we'll probably know that Thanos is in this state by the end of Endgame. But I think, like all the leaks are being said, that there would be a greater threat to now come as a result of this trickery or this usage of the stones. And so, and the idea that the stones have been copied and utilized, supposedly, that I think that what he thinks happened is true. What he thinks happened is not true, Thanos, and that it is the ploy of the reality stone. And so that's my theory. I hope you guys understood what I may not come across very eloquently with it, but I hope you got the gist of what I'm saying. Bank on it. I think this is what's going to happen in Endgame. I don't even think Thanos is a threat. And like the movie, like the outside big heads are saying, I think that there's a greater threat as a result of this tinkering around with stones, with infinity stones. And so I hope you guys enjoyed that. And if you did, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm trying to build this thing up, and it's going to probably get a little bit better. Maybe I'll have some music and other good stuff on it. But up until then, this is where I start from. And we all have our small beginnings. See you guys. Bye.